do it live into Zoom into the meeting, then it becomes part of the Facebook land and it belongs on the site, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Public. Okay.
It becomes like, well, sometimes depending on what device I'm on, I can see that I could download something or other, but other times it won't let me. Okay, so I'm trying to go live on Facebook. It's trying to open a link. It's asking live with Yvette. Okay, I'm going to change it to year-end ritual and intention gathering.
Letting go and
welcoming in.
There you go.
Welcoming in the wise woman. Yeah, my mom did me such a huge favor, honestly, just by like, she just didn't have any hangups. There was so many times when that came in handy, right? Because she was just, I could talk to her about anything. And I did. Okay, so now it's thinking, it's preparing to live stream. It should tell me when we are live. And it is being live streamed. All right. So that means we are live in the group. So hello, Canadian perimenopause support. This is your founder. My name is Jessica, and this is my sister-in-law, Yvette, who's in Winnipeg, or from Winnipeg, and she's in California now. How are you doing, Yvette?
I am doing great. Thank you.
She's doing great. And we're just going to talk a little bit about the event that we decided to put on. So I'm just going to say what my motivation was. I'm always interested in like setting the intention for the new year, not in a way of like, New Year's resolution, as in a big lifestyle change. I'm going to start working out, or I'm going to eat less animal product, or whatever it is, right? Because I think that always sets you up for a degree of failure when it turns out you can't exercise every day or whatever it is your intention was. But I do feel like having a clear idea of the kind of things that you want to let go of as you leave one year, and the things that you want to welcome into your life as you begin a new year, is really important. And I've seen my own life change and develop and become more along the lines of the kind of, impactful, purposeful life that I want to lead. It's happening more when I'm more intentional about what I'm doing. So that's part of what I want to do. And because I've just learned this yoga nidra, I've just graduated last month with another certificate in different therapy. So yoga nidra is really excellent for relaxing the body and the mind so that you can access more of what's going on a subconscious level. So that's what I'm going to bring in for the second half of this event that we're planning. And then when I was thinking about going ahead and planning the event, I was like, I want to bring someone else on board who can offer more on just that subtle energy level. And that's you with the Reiki, because Yvette has been doing distance Reiki with me since 2020, I think. Hey, we started trading off sessions.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's very powerful. It's been very telling too, how many times you've said to me, oh, like, was your low back sore, or is this coming up with, are you having a problem with this? And sure enough, even though we're not talking, there's no verbal exchange, it's purely an energetic exchange. And so what got you interested in studying Reiki? I know you have your Reiki master, and we just talked about, I think you said you have 3 different certifications.
I do. I have 3 different certifications. I'm a Reiki master, a Karuna Reiki master, and a medical Reiki master. And they serve different levels of Reiki. The medical Reiki is quite different in that if I can get permission from a hospital, an anesthesiologist, and obviously the patient, I could be in an operating room. I could come visit you in the hospital and give you Reiki. I can do it at life end or at the beginning of life. It doesn't matter, but I could be called in and I could do that with permission from all parties involved. Karuna Reiki is a higher level of regular Reiki, and I got mastered in both in 2015 and 2017. And they changed my life. I started Reiki when just before I was diagnosed with cancer, with breast cancer. I started the training, and it made my cancer experience a lot less scary, in that I learned how to trust the energy around me. And I had people I could call on that could send me all that wonderful positive energy. And I had people in the post-op and pre-op giving me Reiki, and at home. So it really helped the healing process, and even the mental and the emotional part. So that got me interested in, that's how I started with it. And I continue, I do Jessica long distance. I do anybody who I get a call from, whether it's friends, family, or a client. I will do distance Reiki, because during the pandemic, that was the only way to do things, and people needed that positive energy. It's also kept me more positive. I try not to go into the, oh, why is this happening to me? It's not happening to me. It's the universe working with me, and there's something I need to do with it, with that energy.
So like from my perspective as your sister-in-law, and we have a weird history too, because my brother was not recognized as part of my family officially until much later, because of whatever political thing happened between his mom and our dad. But it means that we became really fast friends in our 40s quite quickly, with all of these things in common. And what I think you did is, one of the things that survivors often do, they find something to anchor to. I'm anchoring to, and for you, it was this practice of Reiki, and your two best friends also got into studying Reiki. So much support. And I did as well. Remember when I came home from my Reiki level 1 and I was sending you all those messages, I was so excited.
Yes, I remember. Yes.
Yeah.
It was so exciting. I was so happy. I was going like, yay.
Yeah.
More
yeah.
positive energy healing. Yes.
And my level 1 was so focused on practice on yourself with the hand positions. And I think when we did all of them, if you added it up, it was an hour and a half of just basically holding yourself in different hand postures every day. Yes. And I loved it. And I did another training. I did level 2, and I was back and forth about doing the masters as well, but I focused more on finishing my yoga therapy training, which is first yoga teacher, and then taking that further into particular applications of yoga to treat issues. And then this ended up becoming something that I'm offering in the Canadian perimenopause and menopause support, because it's so desperately needed. And I mean, honestly, in the business world, it was pick a niche, pick a niche, pick a niche. And I feel like this niche picked me. Right. And I'm just designing stuff that is going to be of interest to people going through the similar kind of things that I've gone through. So I'm watching you go through a medically induced menopause. Yes. With no help from HRT, and having to go the alternative route. So focusing on things like your mindset, your diet, your exercise, and general self-care, and then, getting a little bit more like specific treatments for you with your just needing help with the pelvic floor stuff. That's amazing. And I'm proud of you for doing it, because I know it's humbling and kind of scary and hard to even welcome someone into that part of your life. And we're so, it's such a weird thing to discuss, so private. I get messages from women all the time, and then I'll be like, well, book a session with me. And they'll be like, no, you're a stranger. Like, the first thing you did was tell me about your vagina. Yes. So how much of a stranger am I? Like, there's just such a desperate need for help. So this is one of the intentions that I want to set with this workshop, is that we are going to spend an hour focusing on the healing energy that we can bring together as women. So we'll say our story of whatever it is we want to let go of into the circle and whatever we want to bring in as well for the next year. And then you were talking about you're going to actually burn your list. I might do that too, you know, like of last year.
Yeah, I want to, and I've done this before as a ritual. We would write down, we did a meditation, we wrote down everything that we wanted to let go of, and we folded it up. And then we went, I live in California, so we went outside and we had a little garbage bin, metal can fire, and everybody lit that and sent energy to it so that it could be released from us because we're letting it go. And then we also did a list of bringing it in, and we did it on different nights because of full moon and
New moon.
yes, new moon, full moon and new moon. So, and then we would bring in the other stuff, and we did the same thing. We burned it and then we sent it out to the universe so it could come back to us. And I said, I really like that ritual, and I'm thinking, and we could do both. I could do both, or wait for the moons, but it's just whatever you want to do. Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of it is like what I would like to do is put it out as homework so that you don't have a woman sitting there going, oh, what do I want to bring in? Chocolate,
Right.
you know, like
Yeah.
no idea. Like,
Yeah.
so some prompts, some journaling prompts, some homework before we do the event so that people are coming in with their list of the things they want to let go of and their list of the things that they want to bring in so that we can introduce that. Because in working with a lot of small circles, there's this idea that when we have a sharing circle, we put that into the circle and then it can manifest into whatever it wants to manifest. So, you know, as far as letting go of things, I don't want to focus too much on the things that we want to let go of. I want to have basically people coming in ready to let go of those things. So they're not even saying those things into the circle. They're going to read their list of the things they want to let go of and then pocket that for later. Maybe they're going to, you know, boil it or burn it or, you know, rip it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever they want to do. And then the other one of the things that they want to bring into their life, I would like them to keep that with them while they get all comfy cozy. So the difference between yoga that a lot of people think of when they think of yoga, they think of moving and stretching in a dynamic, active practice, which it can be. But yoga means union. It means uniting your body, mind, and spirit all together. And so yoga nidra is more like basically getting rolled up in your blankets and with your pillows and getting as comfortable as you possibly can. And then just listening to guided instruction. So for that part, it'd be nice if they had their intention of what they'd like to bring in, maybe on their person, in a pocket, on their chest, under their arm, like wherever they felt really comfortable and happy with it being, so that they can keep those things in mind. Because what I'll write when I haven't written the script yet, but when I write the script, we're going to do a part of it where we're letting go of these things that we've written down that we want to let go of. But another part of it will be finding those things that we want to bring in and welcoming them in a way that's full of visualizations that can be really a tactile experience in your mind. And then with yoga nidra, you fall asleep, your body falls asleep, but your mind stays awake if you're doing it right. And if your body falls asleep and your mind doesn't stay awake, that's okay too, because the idea is that if you need the rest, that's what you need to do. And then that's at that point where I feel like you providing Reiki for the people in the circle at that time would really help them to let go of some of those things, like a lot of the negativity that we have, a lot of the, you know, why me, or why is this so hard, or why is the system broken? You know, why is there so much suffering involved? The questioning that really gets you like nowhere. It doesn't take you anywhere. You might as well ask, why is the baby hungry? Right? It's a baby. You're struggling because you're going through perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause. And that does involve some discomfort and struggle, but it doesn't have to involve suffering. So just so people would get clear, what would it look like if I'm saying actively running them through a scenario in their minds where they're visualizing something, how will you be participating through giving Reiki? Will you just kind of sense who might need what's going on, or will you take a little bit of time with each person?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I am going to start, I have to open up everything. So, to get permission from all of everybody's guides to be able for them to receive. Once that's done, and I would like to focus a little bit of time, a few minutes, because I know we're doing this for 30 minutes and however many people I'm going to try and figure out and do individual, but Reiki goes where it's supposed to go. So I want to do a group thing. And then if I feel like there's somebody who needs more, I will focus on that. But I really want to, because we're doing this and uniting and becoming strong, I want to do this as a group and give everybody the same energy and the same love and the same light, so that we come out of that feeling like we've received those three things. So that's my intent, is to do that. So
Yeah, and that's super powerful, because like, I don't know, you probably listened to my interview with the Calgary Eye Opener. And, at a certain point, we were chatting about, the symposium and the resources that are available for Canadian women online. And I said something about, like, there's no hope in those. Like, there are official Canadian resources that you can find online, and the information is good. But it's just like, okay, you might have sleep problems and anxiety and, hot flashes and body pain. And there's no hope in there. There's no next steps. There's no, here's something that you could do. We know that lifestyle does have a huge impact on our symptoms, but even that wasn't mentioned. And the interviewer, apparently I wasn't watching because I was in the basement trying to get a good quiet sound on my phone talking to the interviewer. But apparently Martin was watching them live on the video feed, and his eyes lit up when I said hope. Because
yes.
that's something that he hadn't really considered as being a necessary part of someone going through perimenopause or menopause. But like, can you imagine being a cancer survivor and not having those positive things in your life of, feeling loved and feeling cared for and feeling
Right. And manifesting that for yourself. You can't, somebody else isn't going to make you happy. You have to make you happy. And that's part of the self-care that we so frequently forget to do. And we don't listen to our bodies, and we don't take care of ourselves by stopping and listening and saying, you know what, I'm tired, I need a nap. And even though it might not be the best timing for that nap, we always stop so that somebody else can take a nap. Sometimes they need to stop so we can do it. And it's just one of those things that it's really hard to do, but there's a way to find a way to do it. I always, when my kids were little, I would say, mommy needs a timeout. No, I didn't leave them alone and my ears were open, but I did, have a moment where I could gather my wits about me. Now my kids are adults and I am babysitting grandchildren, and I have the same sort of situation where, you know what, I've had it time for grandma to take a time out. And it's one of those things, I say the words out loud. The kids hear me. It's not foreign to them anymore. And I have, and my 2-year-old says, grandma, okay? Grandma, okay? And I'm going, grandma's fine, but she's learning now that we have to be vocal about that at 2 years old.
which is
So
amazing.
yes.
It's amazing. I always tell that to women when they're like, oh, but I have a child at home. It's like, yeah, your child at home should see you handing them to the other parent and going to have a bath or sitting
Right.
in a quiet room because you
Yes.
haven't been alone all day.
Right. You need that time. And we give it to everybody else, but we never take it for ourselves. And we give it to our children, our spouses, our family, our friends. And then we sit there and wonder why we're exhausted. And when we get to this time in our lives where we're menopausal or perimenopausal or postmenopausal, like I am, I'm going like, I'm exhausted. I can't do this. And I'm going like, and it's not that I can't, it's just that I don't have to. I can choose to say no, and it's okay to say no.
And then
And
that's like, I think partially maybe from the Reiki training, and for me with the yoga therapy, so much of it was like listening to your body, getting in tune with it. Like, cause even going through the yoga teacher training, which is the first part of becoming a yoga therapist, I had to, I don't know if I told you this, but we had to do little small group work. And there's
right,
this idea in yoga where you build up to the primary pose or whatever, right? Where you get up to the goal pose, which is it's a very Western mindset, right? That's not a yoga mindset, but that's what we do. So they had us building up to this weird, I can't even remember what it's called, but you're basically up on your hands and your whole body weight is up on your hands, and you've got your knees on your forearm or on your back of your
yeah,
bicep, and your legs are off the floor. So you're holding all of your body weight with your hands. And I couldn't do that because I had broken my elbow. I fell down and broke my elbow after my first granddaughter was born, because I'm a bit of a klutz and that's what happened. And but instead of the group that I was with, they really wanted to do that. So I was like, okay, we'll go along with doing that. And then when it came to demonstrate, I didn't demonstrate that posture because I was not physically capable of doing it at that time. And then I led the relaxation at the end, because that's mostly meditation and that's what I'm mostly comfortable with. That's what I've done most of my training in, is that calm, relaxed meditation, although I'm really good with the physical stuff as well. And afterwards, the mentor said to me, it's interesting that you went along with your group wanting to do a posture that you're not capable of doing. Why did you do that? And I was like, well, because they're young and in their 20s and they wanted to do that. And I'm not young in my 20s and I can't do that. And I don't feel bad about not being able to do that. It has nothing to do with me. It was a group effort, and that's what the group wanted to do. So I provided the part that I was feeling most comfortable and best about providing, which was the calm, relaxing part at the end. And the teachers were really happy with that answer, and much to the surprise of the girls in my group who hadn't realized that I wasn't physically capable of doing that, because they couldn't look up and see what was happening around them while they were doing that posture, right? Because it becomes totally absorbing to get yourself into a convoluted, difficult yoga posture, which is partially why they do it that way, because now you are in a meditative state or you're going to fall down.
right.
But it becomes more about learning, how to say no and how to say yes and what to say yes to. And the investment part of it, I wanted to just address that, because I know there are going to be some people saying, why are you charging? Everything should be free. And that's a general mentality that happens a lot, because you can find a lot of things for free on the internet. But like we were just talking about our trainings, you have 3 different certifications. I have more than that, because I had to do the yoga teacher training, then I did the yoga therapy certification, and then on top of that, I've continued to do trainings every year to the tune of about $500 every time I do a training. So, and all of them add up to make me an exceptional practitioner, including this backlog of all of the experience that I have teaching for the last over 20 years as an educator that I can bring into any kind of setting. And all of that required the investment of my time and money. So it's definitely worth time and money for the people coming. And so what would you think a person who's never tried Reiki or setting an intention or doing a yoga nidra, what do you think they might get out of coming and joining us for this year-end workshop?
Oh, wow. I mean, the first time I did Reiki, I only had a 10-minute session, and that was enough for me to sign up to learn how to do Reiki. I felt so good afterwards. The energy, and there are no words. The man who did Reiki with me was he just told me about my chakras a little bit, and that was at the end, but he just Reiki'd me for 10 minutes. And I just went like, oh, I just feel already in 10 minutes like a different person. So relaxed. My shoulders were down. I tend to do this when I'm stressed. And I did this. I walked out of that room with my shoulders down. I was just going like, it's amazing in just the 10-minute session. That's not an ideal amount of time. That is really quick. But I'm sitting there and I'm going, just that amount of time made me realize how important it is and how valuable it is to have that kind of energy work done. So, I mean, it's it's crazy how much. Well, there's a lot of schools of thought on that. But I mean, typically I charge for a Reiki session for an hour. I charge $70 for 1 hour.
Yeah.
That's per person.
Yeah. So it's $67. Like,
Yes.
you know, if you were doing a group class and you were just doing yoga and there wasn't, you know, any supervision, because that's kind of sparse if you're talking about online, the least expensive you could get would be about a $20. But they certainly wouldn't be open sharing. There wouldn't be dialogue between the group members, the opportunity to make any kind of connections with other people, or to have what I really think anybody who joined would get at the end is a real sense of clarity.
Yes.
What did they let go of is going to be really clear.
And
what
that's what
are they bringing in?
Yes. It
is
makes
going to
you
be really clear.
It makes you sit and think about it. And for example, last year, somebody asked me what my resolution was. And I don't like the word, just like Jessica doesn't like the word. I used, I'm going to use an intention instead. And I'm going to say that my intention is to use kind words. So when I get angry or when I get frustrated, even like in traffic, I live in Southern California, there's traffic. I can't go to the grocery store without traffic. So I'm going like, ugh, I'm going like, okay, calm down, kind words. I wonder if they're having a bad day. Kind of go with that and try to do that, and working on the heart chakra and the throat chakra with that. I even went as far as wearing blue and pink gemstones to have that consciousness of it. So I would do that. So I had my pink quartz and my blue stones, and I put them together and I would wear them together just to keep me aware of it. And it's worked. I really am conscious of my words, and I try to say kind things, and if I don't want to say something kind, I try not to say anything.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard. It's been really hard doing that sometimes because our knee-jerk reaction is to just say something that it's really hard. But I focus on saying kinder, being kinder, gentler. And it's really helped in my day-to-day process. I take a deep breath. There's always situations in life. And when you're having our hormonal roller coaster, it's really hard to be focused on something like that. But, for me, it was, I tried I'm going to lose 20 pounds this year. Yeah. As soon as, half the year goes by and you haven't even lost 5, you're going like, why bother?
I know. That's what I don't like about the resolution. It seems like here's my resolution, and I'm going to, whatever it is, work out every day. Sure enough, you're going to fall down and hurt yourself, or something's going to go wrong, slip on the ice or whatever it is. And then, there goes your plan and it's out the door. But an intention, like here's what I've been working with for the last year, and I might do it again, but I don't know if I've ever showed you this. I have a flat back, or I had a flat back. It might be doing better now. So my upper back and my thoracic spine, it's got a bit of it should have a slight bit of a curve this way, so that you should have your open chest. Mine was flat at my checkup the year before last. And my family doctor was like, ugh, Jessica, that's the first step to osteoporosis. That's the first step to having the hunchback of Notre Dame, right? We don't want that for you. You have to really work on rolling the shoulders back and down and opening that chest. And it made me really conscious about like, okay, so what is this all about? And I've had pericarditis. I've had basically chest pain from inflammation. And then there's a lot of this kind of just curving forward and protecting yourself. And I think I've done a lot of that in my life as a very sensitive girl who's kind of, whatever, friendly and easy to get to know. I've had people take advantage of that and, kind of whatever, step on me in different ways. And But this doesn't protect me at this point. At this point in my life, it's actually helping me to develop osteoporosis, which I don't want. So every day I spend some of the time going, okay, I'm living with I'm living from my open heart. I'm sharing from my open heart. It's safe to be open-hearted. It's safe to be myself. It's safe to show up in the world the way that I want. And that's something that I definitely have noticed, right? It has impacted because now, well, I'll show you next time we're doing swimsuits or something, that I actually have a bit of a curve in my thoracic spine. And I worked really hard to open my chest. And then whenever something difficult starts to come up in my life and I feel like maybe I'm starting to kind of curve in on myself a bit, consciously opening up that chest and coming from an open-hearted space, because I do have a big heart and I do want to help people. And it is really important to me to help women. And this is just one example of a way that I can potentially impact people to learn to live from a place of intention, where they become much more active and a member of their life and not a victim of their circumstance.
Right. And that's very important. That is very, very important, because it's a lot easier to be the victim than to be the active member of your life.
Well, and
we
you
see
could, right? Like as a cancer
with
survivor,
sure, just that alone.
like
Yeah.
radical surgery
No,
and
all the other stuff, all the other baggage that I could carry with me, it's just like you have to let that stuff go. And, I very purposely have let things go and relax the shoulders and unclench the hands in my lifetime. But, now that I'm more conscious, more aware of my intentions, what do I really want?
what do I
Really want, and what's really important to me, and how do I achieve those things just for me? It doesn't have to be for my family or anybody else. It's what am I going to do for me to make me a person that I like to see in the mirror? And that's now how I do my intentions. It's like, okay, I see you. And that's why last year I went, kinder, loving words have to come out of that mouth. And that was it. And it wasn't that I was mean and nasty. It was just that I was going, that I just was catching myself and I was becoming very aware. And I was just going like, okay, let's dial it back some more.
Yeah.
And, even yesterday I went to the beach and sat on the beach for an hour and a half with my friend. And we call that beach therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we do Reiki, and we do send Reiki to the universe and to Mother Earth. And then we have our chat and we let go of everything that we've been holding on to since the last time we saw each other. And that is a mental, physical, spiritual letting go. And we do that and it's there. And then every time we leave, we go, wow. And it doesn't matter if it's cool or rainy or warm and hot. Every time we leave, we go, wow, I feel so much better. I feel like a different person. That was the best.
And don't you think that needs to be mentored?
I do.
Like, I personally feel I've done a lot of intellectualization. I've read a lot of books. I've got it like addicted to self-help probably in my 20s and 30s, trying to fix myself.
Yeah.
And really, it was meeting people and talking to other women and getting mentored in this whole idea of like the difference between hanging on and letting go is literally that you're just not taking it with you. You've decided to let that go. And then if you notice that you've picked it up again, you let it go again. And I needed people to show me that. I needed to see it in action. And that's one of the things that any participant could get, because you and I will be participating in the workshop, right? Like you're going to share your intentions in the circle as well. Yeah, me too. Because that's how you get the most out of it, right? Is by full participation. There's no point in, because I've had a few people say like, well, why should this stuff be coming from you? Why would you be the one presenting this information to people? You're not a doctor. You're not a nurse. Who are you? You're nobody. It's like, I am living through perimenopause right now. And I am in a medical induced state of menopause at this point because of the pills that I'm on.
Right.
So who better for people to get their information from but someone
Right.
who's going through it? And as a benefit, I also have anatomy, pathologies, physiology, psychology at the university level. So I do have an understanding about the physical body and what's going on and what can work and what makes things work better and what could potentially be of an issue and all of that kind of stuff. You know, like I can answer a lot of questions that women have from a place of that experiential learning, which is really maybe more valuable, or it's not valued really highly in our culture. But that's the kind of thing that we would have been, you know, traditionally humans would have learned from each other, and they would have had elders and wise people in their group that would have been teaching them directly how to maintain. And if you want to be happy through your perimenopause and menopause and postmenopause, that's not going to happen when you're hanging on to a whole bunch of resentments and stuff that went in the past.
Right. And, you know, and there are people who are like you and I who don't have the ancestral background that are living to ask the questions to. Our mothers have passed years ago. So there was no, and when they passed, we were in our 30s going, we weren't even thinking about it. So now, you know, here we are going, oh, gee, I wish I had somebody to talk to, going, well, I kind of do. I have you, you have me, and we have each other. And that's what we have to grasp onto. And sometimes somebody that has a little bit more knowledge, or a lot, in like Jessica's case, we have more knowledge of just the body itself, then you can do that. It's not just living the experience, it's both of them together. That has value beyond words for me. I would just sit there and go like, yeah, no, you know, Jessica and I don't give each other freebies. We do trades.
Yeah.
We do things. We pay for each other. There's no freebies, and we love each other and appreciate each other. And part of that appreciation, though, is respecting what you have and what you do. And that's it. I said, yeah, I don't want to bother a friend for a free haircut. That's what they do all day.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to ask the landscaper to come over to my house and do my lawn for me.
Right.
Because you know, they're a professional, and I do value what they have to offer. And the the thing about offering it experiential learning is trying to put that into words. What will you get if you do this workshop? Well, you're going to get the clarity of knowing what you want to let go of.
Right.
You're going to get the clarity of knowing what you want to bring in.
Right.
And you're going to get a half an hour of Reiki and Yoga Nidra combined, two extremely powerful practices. So you'll probably end the workshop feeling calm, cool, collected, level-headed, well cared for, connected to the other people in the workshop, because you can stay connected outside of the workshop as well. And, you know, I mean, this kind of offering, it's going to be really special, and it's not going to be the same. If we decided, okay, we want to do the same thing, you know, in the spring, even if we had the same template of what it looked like, it would be completely different, because it's going to be different based on who shows up.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be different on who shows up. It's the time of year as well. So, you know, based on, I mean, we're starting a new year, so that's a mindset all by itself. Then you go in the middle of the year or the beginning of summer, that's a different mindset again. So, you know, you're ending a season, starting a season. So everybody has that sort of mindset, and it's personal, a personal mindset. It's not that I could say everybody thinks this way. No, if some people think the beginning of the year is, that's when I have to set an intention. Some people think that, you know, I feel like I could set an intention every month if I wanted to, but I have to work on them.
And you have to be conscientious of it too, right? Like it's fine to say, okay, I'm going to write down, I want to be a kinder person.
Right.
But that starts to manifest in your life when you're reminding yourself of that. Like one of my recent affirmations that I've been saying every day is, I put myself outside of my comfort zone, and I do not let myself be guided by fear.
Right. Those are good.
Those are two that have been, you know, potentially an issue where you get into your comfort zone and yeah, you can just kind of hang out there doing your thing and not really expanding or finding out what you're capable of, because you don't put yourself in those situations. Like the symposium was way outside of my comfort zone. but I do not let myself be guided by fear made me capable of doing that at all. Without that affirmation, I probably would have chickened out, or I might not have even put it out there in the first place. Like I had to, it was a lot of work that came way before it happened. And then while it was happening, that took me outside of my comfort zone and challenged me. And that's when you grow.
Right. Exactly.
But having that intention really clear made it so that every time something did come up, I was like, what if someone doesn't like what I said?
Yeah.
Well, that's fear.
That is fair. There's going to be someone who doesn't like what you say. There
And
is.
there it is. There it
And
is.
fine.
And that's okay. They don't
Yes.
have to, but if they want to be in my group, they can't be posting about how much they don't like what I had to say, because I'll kick them out. But I mean, they can not like it. Anyone is welcome to say that they don't agree with me or they don't like what I said. But when I say, okay, you're entitled to your opinion or whatever it is that I would say, something along those lines, then that's the end of it. If you keep harping on it, then I will kick you out, because it's not a debate. That's not a healthy debate.
No,
right?
no, that's a debate about opinion, and you can't debate opinion.
No. And so we're not going to do that.
Not that way. Yeah.
So if anybody has questions, you can send them to me, or I'm sure that Yvette would be happy to answer any questions. If you have questions about Reiki, if there are any, as far as I know, there's no reasons why you couldn't participate in, there's no medical contraindications for Reiki, because you're just, whatever it needs to go, it's going to go wherever it needs to go. And it's not going to cause harm, because that's not the nature of Reiki.
Right.
Right. Okay, so let's see if I can sign off on the live without hanging up on you, because I haven't done that before. I might have to hang up on you. Yeah. Okay, I think I do. I think I'm going to end up having to hang up on you, but it's been lovely chatting, and we will chat soon, okay?
Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
And everybody be in touch if you have questions about the year-end gathering that we're going to do on Zoom. And it's going to be a lot like this, except for you'll be in there and we'll be having a wonderful intention set for everybody.
All right.